So great evening, everyone. Great evening. My name is Nate Scott. I'm the author of the book, Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth, which is a principle-centered, biblically based leadership program focused on personal growth and entrepreneurship. I wrote this specifically to address the cash flow danger that no one is talking about. The fact that 77 million baby boomers are retiring and facing a cash flow danger, that 66 out of 100 people age 65 earn less than $30,000 of retirement, that 47% of people say if they had a $400 emergency, they'd have to sell something or borrow money to address it. And 68% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's about how to think versus what to think. How to think versus what to think. And so just a little bit about my background. I'll open it up with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the events that have led us to tonight's presentation. So I grew up in a small town outside of Savannah, Georgia. And I grew up with the desire of playing college basketball. I also started thinking about financial independence as a 10th grade in high school, and I boiled it down to two areas: real estate and business. When my basketball scholarship fell through coming out of high school, I turned down my academic scholarships and enlisted in the Army. As soon as I got to my unit, I immediately enrolled in college courses, continued to play sports. And as a result of that, one of my professors, her husband was a West Pointer. She knew my company commander, and they approached me about the idea of going to West Point. Now, from there, I got a knock on the door one day from my first sergeant, which told us that we were going to be deployed for combat during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. So I found myself at 19 walking the perimeter during Operation Desert Storm. And it was in that moment that I realized the importance of preparation, of instruction, and of guidance. And in spite of the circumstances where I had a lot of fear, I still had my good mind where I was able to say, Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. That was a pivotal point for me because that's what put me on my path to really fulfill my purpose. You see, my name is Nathaniel, which means God's gift. And to that end, I committed from that point on to truly just serve because I knew life wasn't promised. When I got back from serving in combat, I got the opportunity to go to West Point. So I came back stateside, went on to West Point, graduated from there with degrees in engineering and sociology. And then the week that I graduated from West Point, I got introduced to the world of personal growth and development and entrepreneurship. And that forever changed my life also. You see, I never knew about picking up books and going to seminars, being around successful people. And so to that end, when I learned that that was possible, that I could actually study success, that I could study finances, it was life-changing. In fact, if you remember the movie Pursuit of Happiness, where Will Smith played Chris Gardner in that movie, there was a scene in which the white guy came up in a red sports car and Will stopped him. He said, I have two questions for you. What do you do and how do you do it? I oftentimes refer to that movie because that right there was something that I consider to be a multi-million-dollar scene because he saw someone that had what he perceived to be success. And he just simply asked what that person did and how did they do it. Now, in that moment, when he asked that question, the guy said, I'm a stockbroker. And what Will did is he kind of dropped his head down and he said, oh, I guess you got to go to college for that. And what was interesting about that scene was that many of us will oftentimes have some limiting beliefs, some things in our own mind that will prevent us from pursuing something. Fortunately, in that scene, he said it out loud, and the person that actually had the right information was actually able to give him the truth. And what the guy said was, no, you just got to be good with people and good with numbers. You got to be good with people and good with numbers. And then after he gave him this insight, he had some hope. And this was demonstrated by the film kind of slowing down. And as he looked over his shoulder, he looked at the people and he says, they all look so happy. Why can't I help? Why can't I look like that? And so I refer to that because I hope that tonight, that as I give you this information, that you also walk away with a degree of hope, that you actually can see an opportunity that is good for you and your family and then your generations to come. So after that particular experience, I went on to serve as an infantry officer, ranger. I did my time, came back from Korea to the DC metro area. I had a 90-day window when I made a decision I was going to transition because I knew that if I had a family, I wouldn't stay in the military. And so I made my transition from the old guard at Arlington National Cemetery. And at that 90-day window, I read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And after reading that book, within 90 days of reading that book, I went out and acquired over $1 million in assets that laid the foundation for my first success early on. And from there, I transitioned into my civilian work life. went on back to grad school, got my MBA from George Washington, finance training from Georgetown. And I had the opportunity with the birth of my daughter to then follow through with what I really wanted, which was to be that dad that was around. You see, I ran my numbers and I found out that I actually was in a position financially to be able to pick up and move and leave that great job and move back south to get, which brought me to Jacksonville, Florida, to get me near Savannah, which is home. So I moved here sight unseen, accepted a position with UBS Financial Services because I was getting cold called by people and they didn't know my background. And I actually wanted to see what they're being taught. So I worked in the Motors building in Jacksonville, Florida as a financial advisor with UBS Financial Services. Within a week of being in the business here in Jacksonville, I realized that my background and experiences didn't matter because it actually wasn't a job to make people money. It was a sales job. And that was very surprising to me. But I rolled up my sleeves, threw myself into the community, founding board president of a nonprofit here, served on the Mayor's Human Rights Commission, was active member of the Community Leadership Jacksonville. But I didn't see money following me. And that was interesting because I realized it was a very, very different market than what I was actually expecting. But nevertheless, as a financial advisor, I saw that I could make an impact, but not the type of impact that I wanted because I didn't realize that people just didn't have enough money or enough time. And the people that they were getting advice from, they didn't really know that they couldn't make money. And that was interesting because when people were talking to me and I realized that their numbers weren't in place for them to retire comfortably, I started just talking about things that I was already doing. And so it gave me an opportunity to realize that there was an opportunity. So when I left being a financial advisor to become CFO of an Inc. 500 fast growing company, I did so knowing that there was still a way for me to make a tremendous impact. Well, once the market crashed, that put me in a position where I had to then realize that the importance of being sure that you're not defined by your stuff. You see, when the market crashed, we were just as an Inc. 500 fast growing company. But 90 days later, we shut our doors because we couldn't lend any more money. And from that, I saw people that were in my apartment complex losing their jobs and being unable to pay their rent. And so it put me in this position where I had to fund that for 3 years. And so consequently, it put some hardship on me and my family. But in that hardship, I saw opportunity because I was able to navigate that. And that's what led me to write the book, Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth. Life is rich means I live in fullness every day because I realize I am Christ's heir. Its foundation built on Matthew 6:33, which says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness. And then there's the promise that all things thereafter shall be added unto you. That means spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, and financially. It's about the instructions, and then there's the promise. And so my company, my mission, my assignment is all about helping the believer to believe. To say, if you're a believer, then you're an heir. And if you're an heir, that means your father has it all. And so because your father has it all, it's a matter of, it's already done, but you have the responsibility of growing your capacity. And so as an executive coach, what I do is help professionals to move from disruption to freedom. You know, we're either on our way to a disruption, we're in the middle of a disruption, or we've come through a disruption. My wife, Andrea, she's someone that specializes specifically on the disruption that impact women over 40 who've gone through divorce. And so that is the backstory to me professionally. The pivotal point came in July 8, 2015, as I was leaving LA Fitness. I passed a pink Cadillac. I didn't see the person driving the vehicle, but I recognized the vehicle as a status symbol. So I pulled on the side of the road, and as she drove by, I flagged it down, and I gave her a copy of my book. I said, here, read this. If you get any value from it, you can pay for it later. She went left. I went right. She contacted me on July 26th, telling me that she had read it. She had read this book right here, and that 30 of her directors that she shared it with, they wanted it. And then after that, she asked me to do a conference call with 200 of her ladies. I said, bring the husbands on. After that, she asked me to do a live event in Jacksonville. And then from there, she paid $4,500 to work with me for 90 days as her coach. I asked her when she hired me, did she want to create a legacy? She said yes. After looking at all of her paperwork and looking at the success that she had within Mary Kay, I came back and told her, I said, in spite of your success, unfortunately, you want to accomplish your goal with this vehicle because you don't have ownership. And then the fact that they're going to force you out at 65, pay you for 15 years. And then from there, if you live to 81, then that income is going to stop. So you would hit that cash flow danger that I talk about. And so I gave her the recommendation that she really take those things into consideration so that she can take advantage of that retirement that she's earned, but be in a position to transition. I say that because many of you may be looking towards retiring if you haven't already done so. And sometimes you get into that window where you don't know what you're going to do next. And so those are the type of things that we help to navigate. Say, okay, what things could you do next that you can bring your talent, your time, your treasure in order to be fulfilled after you've had your work life? Well, from there, I gave Andrea a recommendation about wellness because you see, during the time in which she had gone through a divorce, she had gained like 60 pounds. Her mom's a breast cancer survivor. So I gave her a recommendation that I received because I made a decision after I was in speaking at an event. And here's what happened. I learned about this company that you guys are going to learn about tonight that I knew of for over 20 years. The company's name is Melaleuca. I didn't look at it because of how people approached me. The way that people approached me gave me the impression as if it were an MLM or direct sales company, like an Amway or a Mary Kay or an Avon. I wasn't interested in that. But 7 years ago, as I was speaking at an event about my book, I heard the presentation delivered the right way. And immediately I said, you know what, this fits my program. You see, I was already teaching people that finances are 80% behavior, 20% know-how. I did the same thing as a personal trainer, saying that fitness is 80% nutrition, 20% working out. So I said, if I got people to shop online, then that means you're looking at your expenses. And if you're looking at your expenses, you're able to track your expenses. And tracking is the first step to creating a budget. So to that end, I'll open up my shopping account specifically for the purposes of evaluating and vetting the pricing, the shipping, and the quality of the products. Pricing, shipping, quality of the products. Because I knew if I could do that, then I'd have a great tool to show people how to implement the strategies in which I was teaching. And so to that end, in opening up the account, I've been able to validate those things. And I've been able to show people how they can save money, save time, and get better quality products. How to redirect money that you already are spending at Walmart, Target, or the grocery store to buy toothpaste, laundry soap, dish detergent, and so forth and so on. So if you're willing to simply convert your home to green, natural, non-toxic products, then I can show you a way to save money, save time, get better quality products with no risk. Now, the last thing I want to give you that's really compelling for me is that I'm from the South. I grew up hearing if it doesn't smell like bleach, then it's not clean. Well, my mother-in-law is a breast cancer survivor. My father-in-law passed away from pancreatic cancer. My grandmother passed January 12, 2020 after bowel cancer. And my wife's sister passed November 1st, 2020 after bowel cancer. I read the lung damage study in 2018, and it said cleaning your home just once per week with certain products, bleach, ammonia, scrubbing bubbles, tub and towel, pine sol, Lysol, Fabuloso, has the equivalent impact on your lung capacity as smoking a pack of cigarettes per day for 20 years. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that was alarming. And I said that there was no smart reason for me to knowingly use poisonous products when there are safe, effective, and affordable products available. And so if nothing else, I want you to know and feel the love of myself and Dr. T in giving you the opportunity to at least convert your home by replacing any toxic products that you may have in your home. But in addition to that, something that's important for wellness is our financial condition. And that's really my background. And so what we've got going on is over the next 90 days, we're helping families to add an additional $5,000 without selling, recruiting, or doing anything except for converting your home and allowing us to give the same information to other people. And do that $5,000 in that 90 days as a first step to creating $5,000 per month within 12 to 18 months. Now, when Andrea told me that she was going to retire, then that's when I took her to an event and she got a chance to see everything. It was then in 2019, 4 years later, after me beginning my shopping experience, that I said I was going to build the business And I did so because I wanted to make sure that I could prove the model so that when my wife retired from her 26-year career, she'd have a safe place to land. And so she retired in January 2020, and I achieved senior director in April 2020. And then 1 year later, she hit senior director in April 2021. So we've done this twice in our household, where the average senior director was at $63,000 per year. So I give you that because that's where we're at now. We're not spending a lot of time personally talking about toothpaste, laundry soap, because we've been shopping this way for 7 years. But whether or not you are interested in the income or not, we still want to ask you allow us to let other people see and hear this information. And now, subject to any questions and anyone having to jump off, the main thing right now is, if from what I just now shared resonates with you and you're open to the idea that I've shared and it's compelling enough, all we ask is 20 minutes to let you see the company's information. But truly, I hope that you're able to make the decision based upon the fact that you're being invited to simply open up a shopping account for the purposes of focusing on your wellness, saving money, saving time, and getting better quality products. And as a result of doing that, you put yourself in a position to actually create some extra income by helping us just simply to spread the good news without you having to sell any products, without you having to get people into anything. All you're doing is allowing people to receive the gift of information so that they can then determine if, in fact, that which has been communicated is true and is good. All right. So I'm going to take a pause right now, Dr. T, just in case anyone has questions about what I shared, because now the only thing that is left to do is to give people an opportunity to see and hear the company's information. But this is about people connecting to us, determining if trust is there and if it makes sense, because the role that I have is to help people to understand the logic and the benefit of making a decision or taking an action. And we're talking about a dollar decision tonight. So Dr. T, I'm gonna go ahead and take you off mute. All right. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop in the chat box. Dr. T, you can facilitate, as well as you're able to come off of mute. And I'm only just going to do this for just a couple of minutes, and then I'll just drop it right into, we'll show you a 20-minute video that will give you kind of the ins and outs from the company's perspective. Anyone have any questions?